Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Sonny here, coming at you guys with another Neverwinter video. And today, this video was requested, my apologies, by one of my subscribers or viewers on the channel. My previous live stream, they asked if I could do a Paladin tank, Lomm ready kind of build, I guess. And yeah, so here I am doing it. Now, this is only my alt, but I do know the class pretty well as I did play it previously. And yeah, I mean, I do play a tank on my Barbie, so I do understand the role of the tank. Of course, is the tank, take the damage, hold the aggro. So without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it. Now, this character is bland with nothing on him, but that still doesn't matter. I am going to be going over the, what you need, and then you will fill in the rest with, your own enchantments and everything like that. So moving on to the powers. Before we jump into powers, let's talk about the main hand and offhand abilities. As you can see right now, this is spec'd into critical strike and accuracy. That's not correct. You want incoming healing and hit points. Okay. And for your artifacts, you want anything with HP equipped and maybe one debuff artifact like the knives or something along those lines. So there's plenty out there to choose from. Moving on to the powers, I use Radiant Slam and Shielding Strike. You can use Oath Strike too as well for the increased threat, but once it's still charging, let me just wait real quick. I just want to show you guys. So this is the one I use. This increases my stamina, but you can use this one as well. But I prefer this combo over this combo, you know what I mean? But to each their own. Okay, in terms of encounters, I use Sacred Weapon. This never leaves. This deal additional radiant damage after most attacks. Your attacks restore stamina, and you increase threat for 10 seconds with a 27-second cooldown. So it's about 17 seconds where it is down, but still, it's a really good encounter paired with the Feats, Sacred Weapon. Okay, my apologies. Equipping this feat puts the added effect onto it. So make sure you do have this feat slotted with this encounter power. Next, you're going to use Smite, and I use Relentless Avenger just to get to the groups or the mobs first. Since you are the tank, you want to take the brunt force of the attacks, so getting to the groups first is a priority. If, let's just say, they're all moving at the same pace and maybe you want to switch to Burning Light, you can as well. Let's just say for some odd reason, you're just having a really hard time, tanking the boss, for instance, in Lomm. I wouldn't get rid of Smite because this puts you on the top of the threat list with Divine Challenger, as well as Composure, which is a 10% divinity faster, which plays into getting your Smite back quicker, just in case you do lose aggro. So instantly, all you have to do is just hit him once with the Smite, and he'll come charging straight at you. Now, sometimes the DPS can take it off of you, but all you got to do is hit it again. Okay, you don't keep spamming the Smite though. If anything, you just kind of just spam your at-wills and your Sacred Weapon and Relentless Avenger, or you can use Binding Oath instead of Relentless Avenger. You can use Absolution, or you can even use Vow as well. Places you at the top of the threat list. So it's just kind of to each your own. I prefer this setup over all of them for just pretty much everything. But like I said, maybe you're a little bit lacking in the tankiness department, so definitely you can easily just swap on one of these two encounters and be good. In terms of your daily Shield of Faith and Heroism, the Shield of Faith helps out with the heals in the group. Every time you're healed, the rest of the group is also healed, as well as Heroism increases your maximum hit points by 20% and increases damage dealt by 10%. Moving on to the feats, like I talked about, Burning Vengeance, that pairs with Burning Light. Divine Pursuit, Shield of the Gods, and Divine Champion. Now it greatly increases threat generated, but no longer automatically blocks all attacks. And Divine Champion is your RB button. You can throw this out when, maybe you're in a pickle, or that explosion at the end of the third boss. You just put up this right here, which is the tapping in the left analog stick as well as saying RB. I wouldn't recommend spamming this because this does use your divinity, and you use that with Smite to keep yourself on the top of the threat list. So just bear in mind these two are linked. That's why you do want to use Composure to help along with that. as well as, just attacking will increase it gradually. In terms of boons, power, hit points are the big ones, along with movement speed. Like I said, getting to the group first is key as a tank. Moving on to the master boons, focus, retaliation is probably going to be your best bet. You can also use bloodlust, so it's just kind of each your own there. I prefer this one. Decreases target's armor penetration by 500 per rank, and then mirrors that damage back at rank 3. Next, after you have all the hit points and power boons, you would just pick whatever stats you're lacking, okay? So for a tank, you want to make sure you have defense capped at 68k. For Lomm specifically, critical avoidance at 68, deflex at 68, and accuracy at 68k. Then you can cap armor pen and crit, but you don't necessarily need to have these capped, because this kind of ignores it. But if you do want those two capped, but to definitely cap defense, critical avoidance, and deflect, and get your hit points as high as possible. So using radiance in your defensive slots and using tacticals in your utilities helps big time on tanks, especially in that dungeon if you are struggling, because incoming healing gives you that. The title explains it. Incoming healing. Companions, this is another thing where I can't get too involved in it. It's just going to be whatever you got, but you want to stack whatever stat you're lacking. Same thing with mounts. I mean, you're going to just want to use either, if you don't need any other stats, then you want to use the ones, I believe it's fortitude, which gives you defense and hit points, or you can use prosperity, which gives you hit points, and I believe something else I can't remember off the top of my head. But I mean, in terms of the rotation, there's not really much. Like I said, I'll usually I'll run in, hit that, Relentless Avenger, bang, and then I'll just kind of go to town. Same thing with the boss fight. If I can hit him with Smite first, I will. If I'm too far away, I will close the distance with the Relentless and then hit him with the Smite. But yeah, in terms of anything else, so hopefully the person who asked about this, sorry I don't remember your name, so I do apologize. But if you do have any other questions, just let me know down in the comments. But hopefully I did help you out with this video. And if you do still need help, I did make a Paladin beginner guide for the tank. But I think in this one I definitely went in more depth in what you want to use and what you want to pick. Talk about the ability square real quick before we go ahead and end this video off. You definitely want to spec into Constitution, and I spec into Dexterity just due to the fact of movement speed. Like I said, as a tank you want to be to the mobs first, or let's just say you're with a group and they're all just moving the same speed as you, or maybe you feel your movement speed is good enough, then go ahead and spec into Charisma for the recharge speed gain. It won't make a significant difference, but 1 to 2 seconds is still 1 to 2 seconds off, plus it gives you like 100 and something stats to each of your abilities, or to each of your ratings. So it's kind of preference of choice on that one. But anyway, for gear, same thing is going to be whatever you get. So it's a little bit hard to talk about exactly what gear you want to use. Like I said, it's all about stats and making sure you're hitting those caps. So if you can have to use one gear to reach the stats caps for your defense, then you're just going to have to bear with it until you can make it up some other way. But like I said, hopefully I answered all your questions. Hopefully this helps you. And yeah, it's been your boy Sonny here, and I will check you guys out on the next